FMEA is a tool used to mitigate risk and is commonly used throughout all types of industry. It works by considering what could fail in a product or service and then considers three factors by which to judge each of these failure modes. These three factors are: how severe would the failure be, how likely is that failure to occur, and lastly, how easy would it be for us to detect if that thing failed at all. Um, so how do you identify what could fail in a product or a process? Well, the best way of doing that, of course, is to use people's knowledge and experience from the business. So FMEAs are typically performed in a team environment. The effects then have to be considered for each of those failures, and these are normally scored on a scale from 1 to 10. So 1 being the effect would be very minor, insignificant, to a 10 being the effect would be hugely significant to the customer. The purpose of understanding what the effects are is so that we can score the first factor, which is the severity, again from low to high. For each of the failures, you then consider what causes that failure to occur. And the purpose, again, for looking at the causes is to then think about, well, what's the likely occurrence of this failure? Again, from 1 being very unlikely to happen to 10 being something that happens very often. And then lastly, you have to consider detectability. What do we have in the process already that maybe prevents this failure from happening at all? Or what do we have in the process that's there to detect and tell us when this thing has actually failed? And again, you're scoring this on a scale of low to high. Those three factors can then be multiplied together to give us something called a risk priority number. And the purpose of the risk priority number is it allows a team to focus on the highest RPN number first and begin to then think about, well, what could be things we can introduce to mitigate against these risks. So when you're doing an FMEA, you're normally doing them very early. Perhaps you're just about to introduce a brand new process or a new service offering to your customer, and therefore it would be a great idea to do an FMEA analysis at that stage. But also, if you're in a project environment and you're improving your business, any change to a process is essentially likely to introduce risk, and therefore doing an FMEA analysis at that stage would also be a great idea. Lastly, don't consider FMEA to be just a single snapshot in time. The purpose of getting the risk priority numbers out is so that you can track and follow, are all the things we're introducing to mitigate those risks driving those risk priority numbers down. So a periodic review of an FMEA analysis is a good way of tracking the effectiveness of those mitigating actions.